Today I'm going to be giving a comprehensive analysis on why women sexually reward bad men. Now, some of these truths may be uncomfortable for you to actually hear, but rest assured by the end of this presentation, you are going to have the leverage compared to 99% of all other men that don't have access to this sort of information. Now, also check out the link in the description because I put together a little gift for you. So 100% be sure to check out that gift that I made for you in the description when today's video is over. Let's dive in. Okay, this is exactly step by step why women sexually reward bad men. And my goal through this whole presentation is you can understand this and internalize this and use this to your advantage without getting like angry, without getting emotionally reactive, or without getting moved off center. So what you have to come to terms with to grasp this whole concept is that sex in and of itself is toxic or bad to begin with. So women are desensitized to what is good versus bad because men no longer have a standard. This might not make sense yet, but stick with me. Men no longer have a standard, which means men are oftentimes rewarding promiscuous behavior, therefore women will continue to do it. So what you have to come to terms with is women follow a man's lead. If you take a step back, okay, you detach from any anger, you detach from any past failed relationships, you detach from any bad experiences when you've approached women or went out with women. Okay, look at this logically. Look at this pragmatically, take a deep breath of fresh air and think for a second, okay? Look at all of the words and the nuance back and forth that lead to sex. All of the words that lead to sex. When the guy has to say the things like, oh, baby, just do X, Y, Z. Or, it'd be so hot if you X, Y, Z. It'd be so hot if we X, Y, Z, okay? The vulgar words, the arousing behavior. The moral of the story is that men lead. Which means you could lead her to be a naughty girl or a bad girl. You also can lead that woman to being a good girl. You can also lead her to doing good things. So they follow. The moral of the story is no matter what you do, if you are an attractive man with masculinity, okay, and you know how to actually lead properly, they are going to follow. Regardless of where you lead them to, if she's drawn to you, she is going to follow your lead. This is what you have to understand from the premise. Now, once you understand that aspect, the fact is that women are aroused. Okay, here's where you can start to come to terms with this and accept this for what it is. Women are aroused by deception, they are aroused by toxicity, and they are aroused by getting away with bad things that they know they shouldn't do. So women are easily led astray through temptation, okay? To understand this, you now start to see why emotion plays such a big impact in the decisions that they make. They live for the rush and they live for the thrill. And I'm going to tell you a little side note. They can't help it. It's not like she wants to be drawn to those things. It's her nature. She can't help it, okay? Like in past videos, I've told you about like how I've made references between the story of Adam and Eve. Whether you believe or not, the moral of the story or the essence of the story is that the snake chose to deceive Eve for a reason. She's the one who's naturally going to be led astray through temptation, okay? The deception, the toxicity, the doing the naughty things is always going to be arousing. This is always going to be the thing that leads to the bedroom. To understand this, you have to know that that's just how things are. Whether you believe that that's good or bad, okay, it doesn't make it any further from the truth. So you might be wondering, well, why? Like, why do women behave this way? Why do women behave that way? Why are they drawn to that temptation? Why is that the type of man, or why is the guy who's doing bad things the guy that they're sexually rewarding? Well, it's because temptation, thrill, rush, this is the land of emotion. This is the land of feminine emotion. Temptation is the land of feminine emotion. What you're going to see step by step later on is in the presentation is how if you continue to do those things, regardless of how good they feel, you are going to slowly become emasculated. This is when you're going to be slowly falling weaker and weaker when it comes to standards and boundaries in relationships, or you're going to slowly go weaker and weaker for women. Lust is going to slowly control you. This is where you're going to be less focused, less driven at work, less productive. You turn into the type of man you don't want to be, and I'm going to explain why. Temptation, in all ways, shapes, and forms, this is the land of emotion. If you can grasp this, you're going to see that 99% of men today follow a woman's lead in this instance. So what happens is guys learn or guys discover female nature, okay, and they want sex so bad. And then as they want sex so bad, they assume that what she responds to is correct and what they should engage in. The guy goes, well, you know, that's what she responds to, or that's her nature. I should engage in that. I should play into that. No, you're following her lead. While she may still sleep with you, she's going to slowly lose respect for you. While she may still sleep with you, she's going to see that slowly over time, you're only controlled by your pleasures. You become a guy who's easily controlled. You become a guy who's easily controlled because you were easily led astray, because you followed what you think she wants. You care so much about what she's aroused by. So, when you do those things, it's good in the short term because now you're in the land of pleasure. This is very bad in the long term because now she sees that you're influenced via lust. Now she sees that you're influenced through emotion. She sees that she can slowly make you weaker and weaker and weaker until she loses all respect for you. This is why I'm telling you. What happens oftentimes is men feel as if the only way they get their relationships that they want, or they get that woman's admiration, love, and respect, is through sex, and this is the quickest way to have her view you as the type of guy who's easily led astray. When you want to talk about hypergamy, she wants someone better than her. And I'm going to explain what that means in a second. So, the biggest lie that guys are fed, leading to the emasculation of men, I'm going to break down and I'm going to show you. Modern men do not realize how easily they are influenced, okay? They do not have their own beliefs. They're looking for other people to tell them what their beliefs should be. They do not have their own structure in life or their own guidelines. They do not have any sort of masculine essence that makes up who they are. Okay? They're easily influenced. Think about this for a second. Majority of the social media that's promoted on your feed, what it's going to show you is it's going to show you scandalous women. Okay? That's slowly influencing you, whether you realize it or not. Majority of the music is going to be all about ass, and it's going to be all about having sex. This is slowly what is sitting in your brain all day. All of the shows or all of the movies that you're going to be seeing or that you're going to be watching promote sex as something fun, something that's cool, something that's alpha, something that feels good. So what you're going to notice is that sex sits in your subconscious 24/7. You're now being influenced, whether you realize it consciously or not. You're being influenced. You're being influenced by your surroundings. Men today are easily influenced by the outside world, and it's because they don't have structure. They don't have regimen. They do not have a rock solid identity in who they are. So what you need to know is you can destroy your whole life, okay? You can date all of the wrong women, and you can become completely emasculated, all from allowing yourself to be influenced. You have to understand this. It is a woman's job to seduce you and lead you astray. The snake chose Eve for a reason, okay? That's the correlation or the analogy that I want you to remember. The reason why I keep telling you that, whether you believe in that story or not, is irrelevant. You have to understand that it's her job to try to pull you off your path. It's her job to try to pull you off your purpose. It's her job to try to use game or use manipulation or try to do things to take you off center. It's her job to try to get you engaged in the land of emotion. It is your job to have solid standards and boundaries to say no. Here's what I mean by that. It's a woman's job to try to seduce you and lead you astray. Instead, what we now have is we have 99% of men engaging in it. And all this does is this gives women all of the leverage and the power over you. You are now controlled by sex. You are now controlled by what you think will lead to your own fulfillment. Whether you're able to get that sex or not is irrelevant, because once that pleasure is over, she sees that she was able to influence you. She sees that you went weak for lust. She sees that you went weak, okay, and gave in. She sees that this is a man who is controlled by his pleasures, and she starts to lose respect for you. Doesn't matter how many times you had sex. Doesn't matter how good the sex was. So what you're going to notice is that the quote-unquote bad boy, oftentimes when men engage in these behaviors, the men are walking away still not with the women that they actually wanted it to keep or to retain in the first place. The biggest lie that guys are fed, okay, that's leading them to the emasculation of who they are, is that the more they engage in these things, the more that they're going to be rewarded. And while you're rewarded in the short term, you will never be rewarded in the long term. So, you have to understand that sex weakens men and makes you 24/7 pedestalize women. Okay? Which brings me to my next point. To tie this in, to understand all of this at a deeper level. You gain women's respect and satisfy hypergamy by telling them no, not by telling them yes. Okay? Say that again. You gain a woman's respect and you gain a woman's admiration and you satisfy hypergamy by telling them no and not yes. So think about this with me at a deep level. Masculine. The word masculine. The word masculinity. This means order. Okay? Well, what does order mean? Order means rules. Order means boundaries. Order means standards, and order means repercussion if these things are not followed. Now here's where most guys really screw up, because all they're wanting is to figure out how to get to the bedroom as fast as possible. All they're thinking about is those types of things. When a guy hears masculine and a guy hears things like order, you hear rules, you hear boundaries, you hear standards, guys say to themselves, that doesn't sound fun. Isn't all of this anti-seductive? Isn't, if I follow these things, if I have principle in my life, isn't this anti-seductive? Yeah, maybe, but who gives a fuck? Like, do you understand this? Who gives a fuck? The fact that a man asks that still shows that his number one priority is still pleasing women. It's still putting sex on the pedestal, and getting that date, getting that interaction to lead somewhere is still his number one priority. This still 24/7 is what's putting women oftentimes on the pedestal. This is why women do not respect modern men. So, here's how we got here. Okay, this is how we got to this point. From one-piece swimsuits, it turns into bikinis. Okay? From dirty magazines, now it turns into dirty websites. From sex when you're married, now turns into the 3-date rule. Okay? Little by little, until one day, we now have men who say, you know what, yeah, I don't care if my wife sleeps with other men. I'm good with that. I'm centered in who I am. Look at me. Look how centered I am. Look how cool I am. Yeah, I don't care, babe. You go do what makes you happy. This is how we get here. Little by little. No order, no rules, no boundaries, no standards. Nothing. So you might be saying, well, isn't this anti-seductive? Who gives a fuck? The fact that you ask, the fact that you care, shows that you are still pedestalizing the women that you find attractive. And this is why they can't respect you. This is why they don't respect you. This is why the women oftentimes exit all of the men that they are with, even the bad boy, even the player. Look at the run rate of every date, every interaction, every relationship. 2 to 6 months typical for casual dating, 3 to 18 months for relationship level. That's the run rate. That's it. Because she sees how he's controlled. She sees how he's strayed by temptation. She sees how lust and those pleasures control him. So she can't respect him. She loses attraction for him. She says, this man is not a masculine man. This is what every single content creator gets wrong about hypergamy. I'm going to explain in a second. The majority of what all content creators get wrong about the word hypergamy is they think it pertains to the superficial things that you can see. How tall is the guy? Is he taller than the girl? How much money does he make? Does he make more money than the woman? Okay, is he more like competent in certain areas? Does he have higher status than her? That is not the only side of the coin. What women mean when they say they want a man better than them is a man who can tell them no. And the reason being is because they know how fucked up their nature is. When they say they want like a better man, a man better than them, that's what they mean. Actually better. Not just better, or he makes more money and he's taller and he has more muscle mass and he has higher status than her. That is not what they mean by better. They mean better as in actually better. Like someone who can tell them, no, don't do that. No, this is the standard. No, that's bad. No, don't act that way. No, don't be promiscuous. No, don't act scandalous. No, that's not the right thing to do. That's what they're looking for. Actually better. You can act that way with $5 to your name or 50 grand to your name or 5 million to your name. It doesn't matter. This is what every content creator gets wrong about the idea of hypergamy. You satisfy hypergamy by actually having masculinity. So you gotta understand, it's not about the good guy versus the bad guy. It's not the good guy, it's not the bad boy versus the nice guy. You're getting this wrong. Sex and the ability to get it in and of itself does not have anything to do with if that man is masculine or not. Telling them no or setting boundaries and having standards, this is how you become a masculine man who's rooted in order and principle. So as I tie in all of these points together, you can obviously see the reason why women sexually reward bad men is because bad men don't have any of the masculinity traits. That's what makes them bad. They don't have order. They don't have rules. They don't have boundaries. They don't have standards, and they don't have principle. And they care if they're seductive or not. They care, which is exactly why they're not where they want to be. And you're going to realize this. It doesn't matter if you sleep with one woman or you sleep with 100 or you sleep with 1,000. Okay, you are left with the same thoughts, feelings, anxieties, and you're sitting there wondering, what else do I have to do? What else is missing? If you can internalize this at a deep level, you now harness that sexual energy. Here's what happens when guys actually understand that they exit that game and they play a different game. You start to actually level up. You start to build the type of life you want. You start to attract the type of friends you want. You start to build the type of business you want. You start to make the type of money you want. You start to be driven. You start to be a man's man. And that starts with detaching from your pleasures. It starts with detaching from those, and you're going to watch one by one the life gets better. You detach from the need to sleep with women, lust, or a woman's approval. All of a sudden you think, you know what, maybe I should wake up an extra hour earlier. Maybe I should start that business. Maybe I should go to the gym and do extra cardio today. Maybe I should do the things that I was put here to do instead of be controlled. Maybe instead of sleeping in on Saturday, maybe I wake up at the time I should to go get done what I want to get done. One by one, you become a better man. That is how you satisfy hypergamy. If you like this video, hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.